4 out of 12. The Forgotten Holocaust and the Lie That Still Lives. Narration tone: clear, urgent, morally anchored. Across the 20th century, one brutal truth was buried. Communism was not the voice of the oppressed. It was the destroyer of civilization. While Nazism was rightly condemned, communism escaped justice, even though it killed more people in more countries over more decades. Spain, 1936. The Red Terror begins. Soviet-backed forces seized control of the Spanish Republic. They didn't just fight a civil war, they launched a war on God. 6,800 Catholic clergy were murdered. Churches were burned. Convents raided. Civilians executed for owning a crucifix. This was not war. It was a systematic, ideologically driven extermination in the name of Marxist revolution. And yet, Hollywood and intellectuals cheered for the Republic. They celebrated Hemingway and condemned Franco. But Franco saved Spain from Soviet domination, preserved the church, rebuilt the country, and peacefully returned it to democracy in 1975. Spain, for all its suffering, escaped the communist fate. It was lucky. Others were not. Cuba, 1959. A revolution begins. A nation falls. Fidel Castro lied about his beliefs. He seized power, silenced dissent, and aligned with the Soviet Union. He banned elections. He jailed poets. He shot priests. He turned the most advanced society in the Caribbean into a prison island. Cuba fell from prosperity into ruin. Millions fled. Many drowned. And yet, the world still wears Che Guevara on T-shirts. Wherever communism rose, freedom died. In Chile, Allende's Marxist government, backed by Cuban weapons and propaganda, brought chaos. General Pinochet's military regime was harsh, but it broke the revolutionary tide, restored order, and led Chile to become Latin America's most prosperous democracy. In Germany, the West built a free and thriving society. The East, under Soviet control, built walls, prisons, and the Stasi. In Korea, the South embraced capitalism and democracy, becoming a global powerhouse. The North starved, imprisoned, and murdered its own people. In China, communism brought famine, gulags, and mass surveillance. Meanwhile, Taiwan, small, free, and capitalist, flourished into a beacon of liberty in the Pacific. Why do we celebrate the revolutionaries and demonize those who stopped them? Because of a deeper betrayal from within. Marxist infiltration of media and academia. After World War II, Western institutions were flooded with leftist ideologues who romanticized revolution and vilified resistance. Fear of looking right-wing. In the post-Nazi era, any anti-communist stance, no matter how moral, was smeared as fascism. Soviet and Cuban propaganda. The KGB and DGI exported their myths across Africa, Latin America, Europe, and even into American classrooms and Hollywood. Self-hatred among Western elites. They saw their own countries as the problem. Communism, to them, was a moral rebirth, no matter how many had to die for their fantasy. Hollywood made 100 anti-Nazi films, but almost none about the gulags, the Red Terror, or the Cuban firing squads. We built monuments to Che Guevara, but not to the priests burned in Spain, the families lost at sea from Havana, or the millions who starved under Mao. Young people wear revolutionary symbols without knowing the cost. They believe the slogans because we never told them the truth. If we don't set the record straight, lies become legacy. We must teach the full truth of communism, not as an economic theory, but as a totalitarian system that persecuted faith, crushed freedom, and killed over 100 million people. We must name the enablers, expose the silence, and restore the voices of those who resisted. Because history doesn't just repeat, it returns.